Our planet supports a variety of living forms. All this is possible because of the rays of the sun that produce life-giving energy. The web of life is delicately balanced and has evolved over centuries. But since the Industrial Revolution, increased volumes of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases released by the burning of fossil fuels, deforestation and agriculture have led to rising temperatures. It is changing the profile of planet Earth faster than ever before. Global warming is an accepted reality, but the solution to this complex problem lies with us. That is, moving away from fossil fuel to meet our energy needs and finding other alternatives. For a growing economy like India, this is a serious challenge. India's race to become an economic power has propelled it to number 3 in the list of top carbon polluters. India's greenhouse gas emissions will keep rising as it tries to lift millions out of poverty. How will India curb its carbon emissions while at the same time providing energy to millions? The answer lies in developing clean and green sources of energy from the wind, the sun, and many other sources. Over the next 60 minutes, we discover how India can fuel its development through the alternative energy revolution. Can it really reduce our carbon footprint? And how can we overcome the hindrances to popularizing green energy technology? Every 60 seconds, enough sunlight falls on our planet to meet the world's energy needs for a whole year. If we can capture 1% of this energy, the world would never have to use oil or gas. The challenge lies in developing the technology to harness it and then making it accessible. One organization in Western India, in the desert state of Rajasthan, is doing just that. The philosophy of the Barefoot College in Tilonia is this: the solutions to the problems of the rural poor lie within the community itself. And the 80,000 square feet college complex stands as a testimony to this potential.
सबसे बड़ा विकल्प सौर ऊर्जा के लिए है सूर्य, तो कि जो प्रकृति के 5 एलिमेंट्स है उसमें से सूरज एक है, तो उसमें क्या है कि धरती, पानी, वायु, सूरज और आकाश, यहाँ 5 आश्रय संभव सकल विकास, कि ये 5 एलिमेंट्स के बिना कोई विकास नहीं है.
It was designed and built by the Barefoot architects with locally sourced materials, using traditional knowledge passed down from one generation to the next. And this today is the only fully solar electrified college in India, with the energy generation capacity to cater to over 5,000 residents of 200 villages. And that's not the only innovation. Barefoot also runs the first ever solar-powered radio station.
वो आप सुन रहे हो तिलोनिया कम्युनिटी रेडियो 90.4 फ्रीक्वेंसी पर. बैरफुट कॉलेज में अपना सोलर ऊर्जा का बारे में काम चले। तो अब गीत सुनो, सोलर कुकर में खाना।
अरे 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 बिना लकड़ी सो बन जावे रे सोलर कुकर में खाना रे सोलर कुकर में खाना। अरे 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 बिना लकड़ी सो रे बिना लकड़ी सो बन जावे रे सोलर कुकर में खाना रे सोलर कुकर में खाना।
A solar cooker uses the heat from the sun. The rays from the sun are converged onto a parabolic dish having solar mirrors, which then concentrates and diverts the rays on the solar cooker, creating a focal point where temperature as high as 300 to 400 degrees centigrade is obtained. This energy is used to cook food. The advantage of this solar panel is that it is equipped with a mechanical clock which can track the movement of the sun throughout the day so that the focal point remains constant.
हम सोलर कुकर पर जो खाना बनाते हैं तो सबसे अच्छी चीज़ है कि सभी परिवार को गैस की और लकड़ी की बचत है। सूरत तो कभी ख़त्म नहीं होवे तो इनमें चावल बन जा, सब्जी बन जा, दाल चपाती बन जावे, गर्म पानी कर लिया तो इससे फ़ायदा मिल रहा। अब अडाया तो सभी फ़ायदा है, चाय बढ़िया मिल जाती है, अच्छी स्वाद लग जाती है, चावल बढ़िया मिले।
Women are central to a family. Now, villages across India could be powered by energy from the sun, as every household chore depends on women.
एक समानता का स्टेटस आज व्यवस्था में नहीं है, तो महिलाओं को भी सौर ऊर्जा के बारे में उसको समझाया जाए, उसको उस काम दिया जाए तो वो कर सकती है। और ये प्रयास हमारा 96 में करने पे सफल रहा। फिर 1 महिला, 2 महिला, 5 महिला, आज करीब 600-700 महिलाओं के साथ ट्रेनिंग करके हमने गांव-गांव में सोलर एनर्जी लगाया।
The Barefoot College trains hundreds of semi-literate women from rural India in solar technology. The same rural women who are callously labelled as backward and ordinary are doing extraordinary things with little assistance. What is unique about the training process at Barefoot Training Centres is that the trainers themselves are barefoot professionals with similar rural and educational backgrounds as the trainees. Like many others, Geeta Devi has been associated with barefoot for the past 5 years, and she acknowledges the change which came to her life being a solar engineer.
सोलर इंजीनियर बन के अच्छा लगता है और खासकर इसमें ये चीज़ हुई कि भाई देखो आज आप ये बना सका लाइटर तो कभी भी चल जा, बाकी इन कद भी मैं हो जा, कहीं भी हो जा, आंधी बाहर आ जा तो इन कद भी जला बैठ जावा। इससे ये फायदा ज़्यादा है तो, और इज्जत भी मिलती है और घर वाले भी खुश होया कि देखो बिजली बनाया।
Over 2,000 solar lanterns have been produced so far, which have accompanied the photovoltaic panels to light up hundreds of houses in India and abroad.
बैरफुट कॉलेज ने इस ट्रेनिंग को अपने देश से लेके आगे ले जाने की कोशिश किया, जिसमें आज अफ्रीका में 26 देश हमारे साथ जुड़ गए हैं।
Country, Guinea-Bissau, Senegal, Gambia, Doha, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Rwanda.
Women from across the world come to Barefoot College, where they live and train for 6 months. The training is slow and repetitive, so that trainees can absorb as much as possible and work with mutual trust and generosity. The initiative makes a lot of sense. Teach those who will use it and will pass the information on to others in need.
I never ever thought that I'm going to be a solar engineer electrically, because the more time they take, men's, not women's. Now I am proud. I am a solar woman electrical engineer. I'm very proud about that, and I wish the other women can take this opportunity and come and learn about the solar engineer.
After being trained, these women have gone back home to establish electronic workshops, install solar panels, and maintain and repair them.
In my village, when I came here, there was no electricity. So even if there is electricity, solar is more important, because solar electrical energy will help our people, and we're going to implement that to our villages. It will be a good help, because solar is saving energy and it's saving money.
Even in the corridors of power in Delhi, solar energy is shaping government policy.
We have a target that by 2022 we'll have solar energy of 20,000 megawatts. So that individual villages, individual areas, because there are a number of areas in our country, nearly 40%, who are not having any energy at all. So we would like to do this thing there.
I think solar energy is playing an important role in meeting energy needs in India and in providing an opening to some people in the corporate sector who want to get into this space. All of these things are basically increasingly focusing on energy services as what we have to provide to households, particularly poor households, rural households, not just a product.
Like India, in many developing countries, villages are often cut off from the main power grids. Connecting them to main energy grid is often too expensive, making the centralized system an ineffective solution for these poor communities. Decentralized photovoltaic systems are a much more viable, sustainable, and cost-effective solution. Such is the power of solar energy and what Barefoot is achieving.
आपका एक घर आया तो इज्जत तो बैठने ना बंदो है ना, तो आ इज्जत आप जाओ जटा आ इज्जत है, बैठो चाय पानी पियो, माँ का लाइटन तैयार करो, सोलन तैयार करो, तो मांगना छेमान हुए तो कह दी भाई मांगना आ है लगा बना, अब नहीं बना तो आप पैसा दे दो तो मेरे पास ले जाओ.
In far-flung rural regions of India, solar energy is more than a cool technology or a green solution. It is a necessity. So how much energy has this solar revolution saved us? Conservative estimates show a total saving of 100,000 litres of kerosene per month. Because of the Barefoot Challenge, more than 19,000 rural homes have been solar electrified across 750 villages of 19 countries by over 400 semi-literate barefoot solar engineers.
अरे बोले साथीड़ा अरे गावा की बाता सुनजो ते माँ की बाता बाया की बाता बहना की बाता ते साची बाता सोलर की बातें पैसा की बातें सूरज की बातें भाई भाई रे। नमस्कार, मेरा नाम है जोखिम चाचा। मेरी उम्र है गणी थोड़ी 365 साल। ये तिलोनिया में जो काम हो रहा है।
This puppet show is a traditional medium of communication that helps in articulating the use of renewable energy.
अरे सोलर को उजालो बहना, सोलर को उजालो, सोलर को उजालो बहना, सोलर को उजालो। ढाणी ढाणी में हो जावे देखो सोलर को उजालो, ढाणी ढाणी में हो जावे देखो सोलर को उजालो। अरे गावा गावा बहना ए तो सोलर सीखबा आवे है, गावा गावा बहना ए तो सोलर सीखबा आवे है। देश विदेश की बहना ए तो सीखबा ने आवे है, देश विदेश की बहना ए तो सीखबा ने आवे है। बहना यूं बतलावे अरे सोलर को उजालो बहना, सोलर को उजालो, सोलर को उजालो बहना, सोलर को उजालो। गावा गावा में हो जावे देखो सोलर को उजालो, ढाणी ढाणी में हो जावे देखो सोलर को उजालो।
Of course, it is not easy to convince people to switch to renewable sources of energy.
देख लियो इसका मानना है कि भाई अपन तो चाहिए धीरे धीरे और एक बार अपन शुरुआत करते हैं ना तो पच मान लो
व्यवस्था हो जाए तो बहुत बड़ी चीज है, कम को नहीं है।
सही बात है,
बहुत बड़ी चीज है। क्यों? खारा पानी है।
कभी गांव वाली कमेटी तैयार नहीं होती है, गांव के लोग कह रहे हैं कि हमें तो नहीं चाहिए। तो कोई भी प्रोजेक्ट या योजना जाती है तो गांव के साथ रिश्ता बनाना, उसको समझाना अच्छी तरीके से, उसके फ़ायदे, उससे होने वाले जो आगे के भविष्य के लिए, वो सब समझाने पे ही तभी आगे प्रोजेक्ट बढ़ता है।
अपना गांव की क्या विकास हो सके।
A series of village meetings undertaken by the Barefoot College staff helps in changing this mindset. Sometimes, solar energy can be used for more offbeat solutions. In a semi-arid region, water is in short supply and is also saline.
समस्या बहुत ही समस्या, पानी की बहुत समस्या है।
गांव वाले बहुत तकलीफ में, पड़ोस के गांव वाले भी कोई आते तो कहते यार तुम्हारे गांव में तो ना पानी है ना बिजली है, तो हम यहाँ क्या करेंगे आकर के।
That's until Barefoot set up India's first ever solar-powered reverse osmosis plant for desalination. The RO plant is powered by a 2.5 kilowatt power system, which helps it to produce 600 liters of water per hour for 6 hours every day. The plant serves the small village of Sinodia with 300 families. The RO plant reduces the locally available brackish water, making the water not just sweet, but also safe to drink. Each family can take 40 liters of water every day for a token amount of 10 rupees per month. This ensures that the water is well utilized and not wasted. The plant meets the drinking water needs of more than 1,000 men, women and children from Sinodia and its surrounding villages.
पानी की तो सोली तो बहुत बढ़िया आ रही है। चौका पानी पिया जदा चौका हाथ पग चल रहा है, चौका पेट में साफ सफाई रहे, काम बढ़िया हो रही है।
चांदनो हो गयो खूब डपटको तो, और पानी पीवा डपटको आया गया खूब पिया पानी। आज सूरज की रोशनी से बहुत फायदा हुआ है और बहुत भी उछाल रहा है।
अब क्योंकि ये सौर ऊर्जा भी आ गई और इस सौर ऊर्जा के आने के बाद ये आरओ प्लांट भी लग गया, तो उससे हम लोगों को बहुत फ़ायदा हुआ है और हम गांव वाले मिल के इसको चला रहे हैं, तो अब हम लोग सबको, सब महिलाओं को भी बहुत फ़ायदा हुआ है।
Even while Barefoot is making solar energy accessible, The fact is, this revolution has not spread to every corner of India.
गांव वाले सोलर पैनल इसलिए नहीं लगा पाते कि उसकी फर्स्ट टाइम जो इनिशियल कॉस्ट है बहुत ज़्यादा है, 11,500 रुपया 37 वाट का सिस्टम आता है। तो पर 5 वर्ष की अवधि में उस सिस्टम की कॉस्ट पूरी उसमें लाई जा सकती है, क्योंकि सोलर पैनल 30 साल तक उम्र है उसकी।
To spawn a thriving solar market, the technology needs to be competitively cheaper, that is, attaining cost parity with fossil fuels. For instance, the cost of production from solar ranges from 15 to 30 rupees per unit compared to around 2 to 6 rupees per unit from conventional thermal energy. And bridging this gap is the major challenge.
Ministry Bank funds most of the small projects. Then there are subsidies. It gives 90% of grant from the center, 10% they have to just put in. So the grants are there, so as to promote this in much bigger way.
Moving now to another source of renewable energy from one of the natural elements, that's wind. Wind is said to be one of the most effective and environment-friendly means to generate electricity. India has a huge scope for generating energy through wind. Suzlon Energy Limited, India's first homegrown company, is evolving to be the technology leader in the wind sector and is the 5th largest producer of wind turbines. The company began with a single wind farm in the Indian state of Gujarat. Suzlon today has expanded its network across 8 states in the country. Wind farms are typically located where wind is a frequent factor. Approximately 60% of India's population depends on agriculture, and impact of climate change on the crop yields would have negative effect on its people. For Shyam Singh, a farmer in rural Rajasthan, his crops were at the mercy of unpredictable rains. With no access to regular electricity, his only hope rests in the energy from the wind turbines. While initially he was skeptical, today he has changed his mind. Now the windmills have been a blessing. The energy from the wind turbines next to his farms is used to power his sprinklers. The use of sprinkler instead of traditional methods ensures sustainable use of water. Like this, the fields are watered for a longer period of time.
शुरू में तो पंखों रो मनो तो फायदा ही है दिखे जाके भाई आदमी राके ने पंखे माते तो उन्होंने 4,500 रुपया दे महीने रा ओ पहलो फायदा तो है इस बिजड़ो तो होतो तो ऐसा और बाकी हमें ट्यूबवेल तो साली लाइट हो जाए लाइट घड़ी मेल जानो ट्यूबवेल तो साली तो अरे फायदा ही से पंखे मारे मांगे था भाई ये हवाओं सले और घराला सले लाइट तो ये हवाओं हाल लाइट पैदा करे और वो लाइट खाए ने हवा दे चलो नो आते ही फायदा ही से
Crops are the only source of livelihood for farmers like Shyam Singh. But with additional income support and other multiple benefits, he can now plan for the future.
मैं तो आज जितनी आज जमीन मोरे अटक गांव में दीदोड़ी है नहीं उनमें तो ज़्यादा बड़ा इसे फायदा इसे आ तो कोई मना तो है कोई भाई हमें ये लगा दिया दूसरा लगाने को दो आ तो कोई है कोई
Wind offers the potential for enormous socio-economic impact, especially in remote rural regions where wind projects are typically sited. If wind turbines were to set up in all available locations, the energy generated could exceed the world's power requirements with a bare minimum carbon footprint. The current potential of power generation in India from installed wind farms is 45,000 megawatt. Presently, only 7,300 megawatt is being achieved. Why is there such a difference? The major disadvantages of wind power farms are the low load factors of 20 to 30%. Since wind patterns keep changing, the wind turbines are not so reliable.
Main challenge is to see how an episodic thing like wind can be used in a grid where the demand is, of course, much more continuous. Partly it may lie in low-cost storage, partly it may lie in combining wind with much more flexible sources of power like gas turbines or storage hydro.
To efficiently utilize the available wind resource, data from the wind turbines is carefully analyzed at the monitoring center. For any maintenance and breakdown, immediate action is taken. A specialized team of Suzlon engineers keeps a vigil on the wind turbines. These windmills are specially designed to withstand high wind pressures and varied climatic conditions. The team ensures flawless working of wind turbines so that the wheeling giants can keep up their pace. One big stumbling block for wind energy is the area required. A 225 megawatt plant may take up an area of size 35 kilometers by 5 kilometers, which is equivalent to about 1,000 cricket fields.
When you talk in terms of the siting of wind farms, we have to be very careful that there are issues about land, there are issues about the impact it has on bird life, on local biodiversity, etc. And all of these things are there. There may even be aesthetic issues that some people may raise.
And there are allegations that the wind turbines are being set up in parts of India on grasslands or areas rich in bird life, thus damaging endangered wildlife. There would always be issues in the exploitation of energy and would require a balancing act in meeting energy needs and protecting the environment. Mining large quantities of raw materials, such as limestone and clay, often results in extensive deforestation, contributing to carbon emissions. Globally, for concrete making, we are consuming sand, gravel, and crushed rock at the rate of 10 to 11 billion tons every year. As the construction boom takes off in India, this is one sector which is a huge energy guzzler. For instance, the world's yearly cement production of 1.6 billion tons accounts for about 7% of the global loading of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere.
The big area of gain in India could be in terms of energy efficient buildings. And there I think there is a huge potential for designing our buildings so that our need is substantially reduced because of design parameters.
That's why, across India, architects, engineers and companies are looking for more responsible ways to construct new buildings. Meet green architect Vinod Gupta, who designs energy-efficient and resource-conserving homes.
Green buildings are something nice to have. They have some features which are good, efficient features. So I think it's to do with something to do with education as well as with design, where design should promote the less use of energy.
He shows us one such project that he has designed for a client in Delhi and takes us on a walking tour to show how the philosophy of clean and green must be initiated at the design stage itself.
This building is made as a white box. Walls are white reflective, the roof is also reflective white surfaces. And then we have put a layer of insulation on this, which is by putting the bamboo screen and putting plants on that bamboo screen, which provides a cool envelope around the building. It also provides shading to the walls and so on.
This building works with permanent natural ventilation. It has a central tower which creates a natural draft when the air outside is cool and inside is warm. Keeping the building's air fresh all the time, it brings the need for cooling down. The building is naturally lit, allowing very little heat through slits and yet gives enough lighting inside. The building also has a small windmill on top and a small solar panel. Both of them produce electricity. This makes for an additional advantage in case of power cuts.
So we can make a building efficient, but it is actually the user who decides how much energy will be saved or not saved.
If we made an assessment on the actual totality of the thing, take it on an average, it will be 20–25% difference, maybe even 30–35, whatever it. But it is a substantial amount, then it does make a difference to the total bill that you have to pay out every month.
To ensure that people spend a lot more time outside and use less air conditioning. This particular house has two gazebos, where one is for summer garden and the other one is for winter garden.
I think that on the whole we found that this to be a very, very conducive to better living, better thinking, less tensions, and just the feeling of being able to live with the nature and to depend more on natural light gives a better feeling to live with. And one feels less depressed than in the city.
If people shift to the idea of green homes, it will certainly conserve the energy needed from the cities. But it needs further initiatives from a sector where bigger is considered better.
Government of India has now specified that all future government buildings will be grey rated. And grey rated goes up to 5 stars. That will save the energy also. And then we are making also sure that green buildings are made. So people realize that there are methods whereby you can save the energy in your house and thereby save the country.
One example of responsible construction is this university on the outskirts of Delhi that trains computer engineering students. Spread over 100 acres, the NIIT University campus is huge, with 54 buildings with residential facilities for 5,000 students and over 500 faculty members. Given the scale of operations, this university could have been resource intensive. But thanks to some foresight by the company, the building has been awarded the LEED Platinum rating, the highest level of green building certification awarded in India.
Yeah, it goes back to the very basic values and concept that we had on the campus, that it has to be a sustainable campus, sustainable in all its aspects. So energy efficiency is one of the primary ways of achieving it, which we do by daylight harvesting, which we have solar panels for water heating, for which we have other efficiencies which will not only save energy but sensitize the learner who's sitting on campus that hey, we can't afford to waste it.
Among its green features, the buildings are built with a high percentage of recycled materials, with walls made of fly ash bricks finished with local stone chips. The use of glass on the exterior is restricted and sun shading designed to let in the light, keeping the heat out. Buildings are designed to be comfortably cool and dust-free. So how has such a huge campus managed to keep its energy bill so low?
The overall effort is to be energy efficient, and the human comfort aspect is something which is quite addressable without necessarily having to use air conditioning.
NIIT has introduced geothermal cooling that act as self-regulating heat sinks for the campus, with little electricity required to cool or heat the air. The process is based on the fact that the temperature a few meters below the ground is almost constant throughout the year. Wind towers are connected to an underground tunnel, which runs from the bottom of the wind towers to the basement of the building. The temperature of the tunnel, which remains a constant, cools or warms the air before it is circulated back into the living space.
This is the largest geothermal facility in the world, but the energy consumed is something like 1/3, 1/4 of a typical air-conditioned system. So overall, it's a far cheaper system, but more than cheaper, it is also ecologically very friendly.
Other sustainable initiatives include greening of the barren hills by planting trees that are suited to the local climate. It is expected that over the next 10 years, planting of trees and creating a green oasis will lead to a temperature drop in the surrounding areas. Among its other green features is the ability to capture 100% of the rainwater and an on-site wastewater treatment plant.
There is a constantly happening phenomena around the campus, which is making the campus and its surroundings a greener, a richer place in biodiversity, in the life cycles, and in just use and recycling techniques. So it's an overall lifestyle that we are trying to create, some kind of a inducement towards a behavior which is simpler, friendlier, gentler on the ecology.
The NIIT campus is a living, breathing model of how our buildings can be clean and green.
None of these so-called green buildings can even think about social sustainability because it's an individual building. So I think that we need to look at the larger context of these buildings, which is cities, urban areas, neighborhoods, and so on.
Vinod and his team have a dream project that he hopes to realize someday of an entire city that is built on the principle of sustainable design. The city that Vinod has conceptualized will be on water and will work on almost every alternative energy possible, like wave, tidal, solar, and wind energy.
Our concept for the sustainable city was that if we made a floating city, a large enough city, which is for say 100,000 people, and we use the sunlight which is abundantly available in the ocean. So you could have floating solar panels in the ocean, space is not a problem. You could have very cheap, inefficient solar cells to do this, and they could simply float. The second source of energy is the wave energy. It's not new technology. They are commercially available systems today where they have tubes which are flexible, jointed, and they move with the waves and they produce energy like that. There is a third source also, which is windmills. There is plenty of wind in the sea and you can have windmills doing that. And we actually cultivated food by aquaculture in the open ocean. So that means it's very easy to harvest all the food that you can get out of the water there. And I think economically also this could be sustainable because it would provide for the rest of the world things which they don't have. It's not just about making the sustainable houses, it's a sustainable city with a sustainable connection to the rest of the world.
The Gangetic Plains in the state of Bihar. India's economic revolution has still not reached here. As many as 12 million people still live off the grid. Candles and kerosene are the only source of light. But the change is coming. The man behind the remarkable technology is Ganesh Pandey, an electrical engineer from Banaras Hindu University. Ganesh had taken up a cushy job in Los Angeles. But he could never get over the darkness he saw as a child in his village in Bihar's West Champaran district.
My particular home happens to be this really bad place, or used to be at least. And the fact that, this place didn't really have much going on. And so that's what made it like all the more important to come back and do something, because the idea is that it was time we took some Biharis back to Bihar.
So in 2007, Ganesh gave up his American dream and came back to Bihar. Ganesh's big idea was to build a husk reactor, a practical low-cost generator to economically produce and provide power. He turned it into a reality by founding Husk Power Systems.
I had been working on using all kind of different technologies, and as it happens, this is the technology that kind of worked out for us.
The fuel for the power plant is a plentiful resource in Bihar, which is biomass like rice husk, wheat husk, and even rice straw. These are collected locally from farmers and mill owners. The farmers bring their rice to millers where the grain and husk are separated. The farmer takes away the grain. The husk is then collected and sold to Husk Power Systems.
ये जो भूसा आ रहा था इसे फेंका जा रहा था खेत खिलाने कहीं फेंक दिया कोई यूज नहीं था खातर तक नहीं हो रहा था इस सबका तो जिस दिन आया यहाँ भूसा प्लांट तब से ये भूसा हम लोग इकट्ठे करके बिक्री करने के लिए भूसा प्लांट भेज देते हैं और इसको बेच कर हम लोग आमदनी हो
The Husk Power Plant requires at least 150,000 tons of rice husk every year. The electricity produced is almost zero carbon, because otherwise the rice husk would have simply rotten or burnt, producing carbon dioxide. The generation process is called gasification. The biomass is burnt in an incomplete manner to get a certain cocktail of gases that are combustible. Then these gases are filtered and pushed into an internal combustion engine that produces power. Husk Power Systems has developed its prepaid model, which is not only affordable but also simple to use.
If you talk from the project cost or capital expenditure point of view, this happens to be cheaper than even coal. So, that was the catch, and that's why this technology fits in better than other technologies. And this just happens to be this magic technology that is fairly cheap as well as environment and, environment friendly.
Once the power is produced and stored, it is ready for the distribution in neighboring villages. The workers from the Husk Power Plant visit different villages to inquire about the individual household needs of electricity.
नमस्कार ठीक है पहले से लाइट रहो तो कितना लाइट के गर्ज बेटे
हमारा 30 वाट के गरज बा
तार लाइन हम चालू कर देता नहीं लगाए थे ठीक बा
For poor women like Mani Devi, it is a transition from darkness to light and access to power which is affordable for her. The strength of husk power is its cost effectiveness. It costs just 80 rupees a month to be electrified. The objective of these initiatives is to meet the energy requirement of the rural population by bridging the gap required for the rural electrification. That's why husk power is getting popular in these villages. Customers are trained to use electricity and fees are collected for each month's usage. Shopkeeper Vikas is enjoying the benefits of husk power.
पहले बिजली थी ही नहीं हम लोग के यहाँ, अब बिजली है और अब बिजली से बहुत फ़ायदा है। दुकान पे लाइट रहता है, घर पे लाइट रहता है, फैन चलता है, टीवी चलता है। पहले ये सब कुछ नहीं चलता था और ये सब सुविधा मिल रही है हम लोगों को।
Now, when a power plant starts up, people's lives are transformed. Ganesh has truly given his people the power to empower themselves. Where the power plants have started up, new shops and businesses have followed. It's a ripple effect. Power after dark means that the shopkeepers can trade late into the evening.
इससे बहुत सुविधा है हम लोग का। जनरेटर से बहुत अच्छा है, रोशनी मिलता है, उससे हम लोग का ग्राहक ज़्यादा चलता है, बिक्री ज़्यादा बढ़ती है, फायदा है हम लोग का।
In 4 years' time, husk power has become a self-sustainable business with 60 mini power plants across Bihar, electrifying 25,000 households, brightening up almost 150,000 lives.
The way I see the future of energy is going to be to have a lot more participation of clean and green energy technologies in it, and we have very ambitious plans. We want to serve tens of millions of people within next 3 to 5 years.
In biomass also, you are going to have quite a bit of energy. We gradually feel a time will come when, at least in the nation, this energy will be 20 to 25% that will give the boost to our country.
So whether it's energy from the wind or the sun or biomass, in every pocket of India, there are individuals who are paving the way, demonstrating that clean and green can be a real practical way of life.
हमारा सोच ये है कि पूरे देश में ये सोलर कुकर फैलना चाहिए ताकि लोगों को इसके बारे में जानकारी मिले, लोग इसको यूज कर रहे हैं.
We, along with all the other solar, wind, biogas and other technologies out there, definitely are going to be an important player in shaping the energy spectrum of the future.
Energy footprint will come down only if we redesign urban areas, if we have better building codes, and if we start putting some pressure on the energy suppliers in urban areas to go in more for renewables.
वैकल्पिक ऊर्जा जिसे कहते हैं रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी, तो उसके लिए एक जागृति लाई जाए गांव-गांव में, घर-घर में, बच्चों-बच्चों में, तो ये हमारा शक्ति होगा एक दिन.
Why not generate something from here which will be also carbon neutral? Now this is something very important because you want to save environment, and the only way environment can be saved is by using more of renewable energy.
to be sustainable, you know, things have to be economically, environmentally and socially sustainable.
If we are serious about bringing the renewable energy revolution, we will need more financial investments from the government, which will encourage more corporates to come forward in the renewable energy sector. The shift from fossil fuels to renewable is imperative. After all, there is only one planet for life, planet Earth.
अरे सोलर को उजालो बेना सोलर को उजालो बेना सोलर को उजालो गावा गावा में हो जावे देखो सोलर को उजालो गावा गावा में हो जावे देखो सोलर को उजालो अरे गैस नहीं चावे इमें तेल नहीं चावे गैस नहीं चावे इमें तेल नहीं चावे वो तो सूरज की किरणा तू होवे सोलर को उजालो अरे सोलर को उजालो बेना सोलर